Okay, anyway, first of all, I really want to thank you for inviting us. And I was really moved by all the first part. We are now going to very practical, applied kind of issues. But as they say in English, I'm taking a lot of food for thought after all what I've heard here. Okay, we've been working this past semester on an intervention to cultivate well-being that we're really excited about it, and we want to share this with you with a special emphasis on social well-being. Okay, our goals were, my goals now today will be basically to show you the main features of our intervention model with a special emphasis on social well-being, to share with you and to assess altogether our preliminary findings. This is kind of a pilot study for us, and to kind of discuss and find future lines of work and intervention for our group in the framework of the topics of this meeting. I will try to present a brief background, explain the program, the description of the intervention, and how we articulate our work on social well-being that in fact was our major concern after reviewing the literature for a group, small group intervention in a college environment, and then present the initial results of methodology and initial results, and open up some thoughts and reflections we've made up to this point. Okay, what is it based on? Basically humanistic, developmental, and adaptation psychology. In fact, I come from personality psychology field, that's my area, but I've noticed as I grow older, I move more and more to social psychology, health promotion, and the so-called, which I don't really like the name, positive psychology nowadays. Okay, in fact, this intervention was presented in the framework of a Healthy University initiative, which we are part of, and we've been trying to develop different kind of interventions in the health field to promote physical, mental, social health in our university community. Okay, there are starting to be some evidences of the effectiveness of positive interventions. Okay, that they work. Most of them tend to just focus on one variable, one type of interventions. A few of them kind of merge different types of interventions like gratitude or best possible self, so on and so forth, in a group format, which is what we've done. Okay, and maybe they use social well-being as an outcome measure, many of these studies, but we noticed that most interventions didn't articulate to begin with how they were going to work on social well-being. Okay, except for a few interventions, especially in the area of social contribution, that usually uses encouraging volunteer work, okay, in the community, and then seeing effects in social well-being. We didn't find at this individual or group level, of course there are many at a community level or macro social psychology, especially in other non-Western countries, but we didn't find much about social well-being. Okay, so we were really concerned about being able to articulate how we were going to work on the 5 dimensions of social well-being. Basically, our goal was to develop and to assess a group intervention in order to cultivate social, subjective, psychological, and social well-being, what Keye calls complete mental health. Okay, it has been a program of 8 sessions, plus a baseline session and a post-test session, around 100 minutes each sessions, where we use experimentation. We did things in the group. We talked a lot. We also taught, we had a psychoeducational component and a lot of homework assignment. Okay, we did develop an intervention manual because there were several groups applying the same program. We really want to manualize our intervention as much as possible, and we conducted a training for the conductors, okay? Basically, not only reading and group discussion and group sessions after we had the groups every week, but also we wanted to be coherent with what we were teaching, follow kind of an experiential training where we tried on ourselves everything we were going to ask the participants to do. Okay, we did get the Ethical Research Committee authorization to do this at the university. It didn't take long, that year, which was good, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do it. So what did we do? Basically, here you have a very brief, because we can explain further, description of the program. The program played with the words felizmente in Spanish, okay? And it had that brain as a logo with all the colors. And we had an introduction where we work on implicit theories and beliefs about well-being and personal development. We work on adjusting expectations and cultivating motivation towards the program. We presented the model, the well-being model, and we asked people to, the Spanish expression, un botón de muestra, bring an example of something that provides you well-being, okay, in your life. Second session, we explained functionality of positive emotions following Fredrickson's theory, strategies to cultivate positive emotions, basically following Sonali Bromsky's work, and we use Seligman's activity, 3 good things, okay, that they had to practice during the week. Third session, we work on gratitude, but not only individual gratitude, as is the common program, but we add social gratitude, okay? We suggested people to write a gratitude letter and do the gratitude visit, which was very difficult for many people. But we also, and I'll tell you in a minute how, we also work on social gratitude. We wanted people, participants, to become aware of how many things we have to thank to the society we live in, okay? We work on human personal strengths, distinctive or signature strengths, Seligman uses that term. People try to identify their unique strengths and how they use it, and think of different ways of using them. And we ask them to ask people that know them well to give them feedback about their own strengths. Next session, we work on meaning and purpose in life, and we use work by Steger that has developed a very interesting and I think very appropriate for youth nowadays, okay, that is called Pictures with Meaning, okay? So we worked with different material on the meaning and purpose in life, which was a difficult topic, by the way, to young people, many of them, and then they had to provide 5 pictures of things that give meaning to their lives and bring them back for the next session. Next session, we work on best possible self, which is a positive intervention that has been researched quite a bit, but we also added best positive world. Okay, I was thinking it's not just my best positive self in an individualistic, okay, perspective, but also what would be the best possible world I would like to live in. Okay, so best possible self using expressive writing, literature by King, and best possible self, Marcus theory, and we elaborated based on Rosling's work on factfulness. Okay, it was already mentioned here, another author, I think Nadia mentioned that you're having this position that the world is not as bad as we all think and the news try to present it all the time. Okay, very interesting piece of work. And finally, we ended with personal growth initiative. There's also work of a woman by the name of Robister that she has developed not only a theory of personal growth as a feature, personality feature, but also a program to try to increase personal growth, especially with college students, and it's coming out of my comfort zone, which is again another term that the students use a lot nowadays. Okay, then we ended up the program with assessment. They had to write a final open-ended essay about the experience, and as I will mention now, we used two groups. One of them was in a class, so with this group, since it was the topic of the course, we did a debriefing, explaining them all the program, so on and so forth. Okay, how did we try to work social well-being? Okay, I can basically think of these 7 strategies. Maybe there are other forces that have been operating and could helping us to cultivate well-being. But the use of a group format, of course, for program delivery, I think it helps. Even though the literature in positive intervention says that there's no difference between group, individual, and even online interventions. We did a lot of work in many sessions stressing social diversity. Okay, for that we used the human video. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a lot of material for your experiments of those self-transcendent emotions. Okay, it's an incredible video by a French guy that interviewed thousands of people all over the world during 3 years, trying to answer the question, what makes us human? And it has really moving and interesting testimonies of people all over the world. It's really worth watching. Our work on social gratitude used Michael Moore's video documentary that I don't know if you're familiar with, Where to Invade Next. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No. ¿Qué invadimos ahora? Okay, watch it. It's on internet, it's on YouTube. It's from an American perspective, okay, saying, okay, we've tried to invade all over the world, we haven't won a war since Second World War II, what do we do now? Okay, and he says to the Pentagon and all the officials, hey, let me go to Europe and I'll bring those things that are interesting for our country. So he comes to Europe, and it's a video going different countries, okay, and just reviewing all our welfare state, basically. And he doesn't believe that we have 3 weeks of vacation, or only 4 weeks, that we have maternity permit, that education is free, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it helps from a European perspective, okay, watch it from a European perspective, to become aware of how many things we do have as Europeans in our welfare state compared to the so-called first country in the world, okay? And it worked, it really worked out, okay? Another strategy I think we use is to explore and try to help them integrate views of others about self, like in the strengths activity, okay? So they gain self-understanding also from other people. We try to include also the macro social context using the factfulness literature. It's a very simple and funny test. It's called the monkey test, and it makes you aware of how little we know about how the world is doing nowadays, and the conclusion that the world is doing better than we think, okay? And that helps facilitating reflection, okay? Given the world is not that bad as people, what would you like the world to be, the world you would like to live in, okay? And then maybe other elements, the topics chosen by participants in their homeworks, activities, many were social, okay? So it also helped to cultivate different dimensions. Okay, we've blended here results. We were a little bit scared that we wouldn't have sufficient people participating in the group, so last minute we decided to use this as an experiential learning initiative in my class of positive psychology and health, which is an elective in the 4th year. Okay, so we went to class and we said, you're always complaining, you don't have any practical activities, do you want something different? Yes, okay, here, think this paper, blah, blah, blah. And it really worked. She Patricia and Joseba and another student came to my class. We had 43 students, so we did few things in big group, but others we work in groups of 10, 11 people, and it really worked very nicely. Okay. Plus, we had 14 students that just participated as an extracurricular activity from the general services offer of the school, of the university. We measure at the beginning and after the intervention hedonic and eudaimonic well-being, okay, using those instruments. We also, but I'm not going to report on that, measure mental health or screening of psychopathology, life events, coping, thank you, etc. Okay? We don't have a group control. We're very sad about it, but it was impossible, so we take it as a first experience. Okay? We calculated complete mental health using the two ways Keye proposes as a continuous variable, just the sum of hedonic and eudaimonic well-being, and as a discrete variable, what he distinguishes between languishing, flourishing, and moderate mental health. We didn't want to call them that way with the students, so we call them optimal, well, and mejorable, improvable, yeah, thank you, mental health, okay? The big problem here is that you use terciles of the own sample, so that can be quite a score, okay? We're working on how to...
Because there are not scores for the Keye's scales?
No.
No?
Not that I'm aware of. The way he came up with the 3 categories, he later developed the mental health short form.
Because
okay,
at least there are an important, a good sample of Madrilena students that they answer the Keye's scale. At least one this scale you can use as to have a score different from your sample. Of course, I think.
I mean,
Darío Díaz, estoy casi seguro. Que tiene la media y la aviación típica del Keye, ¿sí?
Not that I'm aware of. No? I mean, there are 2 ways. The short form is a continuous variable, but the first proposal in 2000, 2005, he used all the data of the American Midas study of adult development, and he uses terciles, put-off points, okay? The upper third, it would be called flourishing, the lower third, languishing, okay? And in the intermediate is called...
but you have the pretest in any case. You have a pretest, no?
Yes.
You use the site for the pretest.
With this group, we did pre-test and post-test with the same instruments.
And your tercile are based on the pretest sample.
Yeah.
Okay, sí, está bien. Digo, no es tan problemático que sea...
Even though it would be better to have, more standardized measures. Okay, these are our preliminary results. Okay, just comparing pre and post test. We hope to be able to get to the students in 6 months and get a new measure. But as you can see, okay, there's the mean and the standard deviation, the T, the P, and size effects, right? The overall mental health, there was a change, okay? In my opinion, there are not changes where in issues we didn't work on that much in the program. I didn't expect a change in positive affect. Also, remember, students were in the last semester of their BA. Internship, final dissertation, what I'm going to do with my life, blah, 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 blah. Extremely stressed. So one hypothesis is also that it acts as a buffer against stress, okay, which is not a little thing with this type of population. But there were changes in life satisfaction. We didn't work on self-acceptance much, okay, even though there are increases in all of them, some don't reach significance. Positive relations, there was increased autonomy. Environmental mastery is probably the highest in psychological well-being. Personal growth or development, not because, as you can see, it was also higher, so there's fewer range for change. And social well-being, I was really happy to see changes in most of them. Step in social contribution that we didn't work on. We didn't try to foster any kind of volunteering work or anything like that, because in the frame of our university there are already a lot of initiatives that try to facilitate volunteer work on the part of the students. Okay. Here is with the categorical variables, so you can see in the diagonal people that have not changed, okay, where in language condition at the baseline at the post-test, okay, 22 in moderate mental health and 11 in flourishing, okay. This would be the people that have improved their condition, okay, have moved either from languishing to moderate or moderate to flourishing, and these are the people that have not improved, okay, but on the contrary, okay. So it's along the lines of the psychotherapeutic literature that says kind of 1/3 of the patients tend to improve in an intervention, okay, but clearly 16 people moved, and taking into account what I said of the context and the times they were in, maybe just keeping on their condition was good enough. Okay, we also have to think of that. What has been the group thinking after this experience? Well, we think it's a promising venue for future research. Okay, we need to rewrite the manual with more specifications and maybe try to publish these preliminary results. We do have, for the class group, there were 43 students, plus 8 times, okay, the 8 sessions, essays, open-ended essays after each session. So we're going to try to conduct content analysis, try to disentangle what are not only the processes, but the outcomes of the experience from their own, in their own voice, as Gilman says, okay? We're planning to offer new workshops, both in the format of the course, experiential learning initiative, and extracurricular activity, and also to other groups. We're going to offer it next year to the adult open university experience that we have in Deusto, and that we were thinking in the future to also offer it in the oncological patients at the association and elderly communities, so on and so forth. Families of people with intellectual disabilities, also, Moravide in Bilbao, okay. I say there, this insufficient, even though good context now in society and in psychology in general for this kind of interventions. The Spanish network of healthy universities has decided this next year is going to be the year to especially work on emotional mental health. Okay, there is a warning at the World Health Organization level on university mental health. There is just a report 2019 and 18 given figures of epidemiology of mental health disorders in the college university population, so this is a major concern. Okay, and we can see also initiatives like in the UK that the Ministry of Education has taken action in this aspect with the Student Minds project, and also in the USA more than 350 universities work together on a project called Bringing Theory to Practice that specially focuses on the student well-being and even articulates this as one of the commitments and missions of universities in a framework of integral full education, not just academics. Okay, and I say not sufficient because we need firm policies okay, to really support this kind of interventions. I was discussing with Maria from Chile and say no one supports this kind of intervention. So if universities don't really want to invest, okay, resources on this, little we can do, even if we prove that, okay. We want to make some improvements in the program. I was really thinking elevation would be a great emotion to work with in this program, or okay. See how we can work the other dimensions that we didn't work that much on. And in terms of research, of course, we need to figure out how to secure a control group. Okay, we're debating what instruments to use, whether to use Keye's short form because it's really 12 items and it's quick and fast and easy, but the other one is much more richer, what we've used. I was also thinking of incorporating some measures of identity, both from Erickson's perspective as well as the perspective we were discussing here now. There's some research on the relationship between well-being and both personal and social identity that will be interesting. And again, we'll try to do this first semester, not only second semester, fourth year students. Next year we're going to do it with third year student. And of course we are open to any suggestions or ideas that you may have. If Patricia or Joseba want to add anything, thank you for your time.